Welcome, Internet, to TIGRadio number 10.
Number 10-teen.
I believe we're on 10. Hold on, let me fix it with the chat real quick, guys.
Chat's working?
No, I just need to make it unmoderated.
Oh, yeah, so people can swear.
So our guest tonight is Dan Tabar, who's currently in the shower. And unfortunately, my webcams throughout his house are not broadcasting at the moment.
You just whipped all female listeners into a frenzy.
Yeah, female.
All, none of them.
Oh. So in the meantime, let's get some stuff out of the way. If you are listening to the archives, we do broadcast live every Sunday at 6 p.m. PST. You can follow us on twitter.com/TIGRadio or facebook.com/TIGRadio in order to see who our guests are. Hopefully we will announce them more than an hour ago, which is what we did today. A little bit of busyness with the GDC. And there's also a new TIGSource Twitter account. If you go to twitter.com/TIGSource, I'm not entirely sure what will be put up there, but I think Jeff is currently posting to it. I think that covers our basics. So, Tommy, tell us about Nintendo Summit. I saw amazing photos of you and Reggie on Facebook.
You don't want to talk to Tommy, I'm the one.
Yeah,
I
actually have nothing to do with Super Meat Boy, according to the press.
Well,
it's Edmund McMillen's Super Meat Boy.
It feels good to do it all by myself.
and you guys are in the same room now because you're over in San Francisco.
Yes.
To explain.
What?
Nothing. I was just explaining to our intrepid listeners.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. We went there, and we showed the game, and everybody liked it, and we got Reggie to play it, and Reggie was, I think that's the only game he played there. I played Metroid Other M. It sucks.
Yeah, it looks kind of poopy.
Dude, okay. I'm going to dish a little bit on Metroid, because most of the news sites are really missing the point. So, what was the best part of Super Metroid, or any Metroid? What was the best part?
Awesome guns, alone on a planet, tons of monsters, cool exploration techniques.
Like exploring and finding new items and stuff like that? Was that pretty fun?
Yeah, all that shit's pretty fun.
Well, you're going to get none of that.
What?
Because you already have all your weapons, but your squad leader tells you which weapons you can use.
Well, and you have to, like, listen to him?
Yes.
Why do you have a squad leader? Wait. You have a squad leader. Like,
yes.
Someone who's giving you commands.
Yeah. So this takes place right after Super Metroid, right? And they got, Team Ninja got her boobs right. They're nice and full. A nice full boob is what we have. And so, yeah, you're like back at the Galactic Federation or whatever.
What the fuck is a Galactic Federation?
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm so furious.
If you remember Metroid, the best part of Metroid was the story.
Right.
So the story is carried out through like several cutscenes. So yeah, you have all of your weapons or whatever, and you're going out with the Galactic Federation, and there's like a mission that you're going on, and you are not authorized to use missiles or power. There's like a whole cutscene about how the leader doesn't want to authorize power bombs.
What?
And then
fuck.
Yeah.
The next thing is what's that? Oh, yeah. So yeah, you get to the final boss, and he's like flailing around like he's got these tentacle arms, and you can't do any damage to him. So there's a cutscene where the guy authorizes the use of ice beam.
Oh, good.
So the other Federation people shoot the tentacles, and then there's another cutscene where it authorizes the use of the missiles. So the Federation people freeze him, and then Samus is allowed to shoot it with missiles, and it's awful. And it's like 3D, like third person kind of thing, but you use the D-pad. So you don't use like the other nunchuck to move around. You use the 4-direction D-pad to move in
How does it
3-dimensional, which,
feel?
as you can imagine, is very, very good.
Oh,
So yeah, it was like
man.
really, really disappointing.
I hate that they've like introduced other characters into the world.
Yeah.
Like you always did that shit solo. Like that's why she's so fucking tough, because she's
Yeah,
always
well,
like
there's, like-
spelunking into caves with monsters in it.
She's on this planet, and she's like building up her suit, and she's doing all this. But now all of a sudden, there's this whole Galactic Federation where she was apparently part of it a little while ago, but she still had a Samus suit. She still had a Samus suit when she was in it. Everybody else has these like ninja-looking things from like Shadow Complex, and that's what their suits look like. But she still has hers. Just like such a transparent bullshit story. And it's just so they can do a story when like they took something that's perfect and they've ruined it by taking out the things that made it perfect, like the exploration and all of that shit. What my hope is that that's like the first part of the game, and then you
Right.
are yourself, and it's over. Because then it wouldn't be so bad. Like the third person shit wouldn't be so bad at that point. But if it's seriously like your squad leader has to authorize stuff every time you want to use something, then that's awful. That is god awful.
Samus doesn't take orders from fucking anyone.
Yeah, I know, and that's what's and that she's following them is even more bullshit. It's like I don't want to like. There's this whole thing. She has like this like Samus has a voice in this one, which I don't like.
Yeah, no, that's
I
no
never
good.
wanted to hear Samus's voice. I never wanted to hear her thoughts or anything. But now that's what the whole game is. Like the demo was more cutscenes than anything. And it's like this is awful.
I'm not into that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like after that it gets better, but I really don't think it does.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
But
Hey,
yeah,
boys.
It's a bummer.
I just
Okay,
don't
so
know.
Dan is now online.
Oh yeah, Dan Tabar.
So let's introduce our guest. You are best known for Cortex Command. Tell us who you are.
I
While
am.
flexing your muscles at
No.
the same time.
Unfortunately, yeah. No, I'm the main guy behind Data Realms. I work with a bunch of awesome people from around the globe. I have not met a whole lot of them in person, actually. It's more of an internet virtual thing. And we make Cortex and another project as well that has not been announced yet.
Another project. I have purchased Cortex Command, and I am upset that I cannot play new builds of it. And yet, you're working on another game, leaving me out in the cold.
In fact, I am not working on it personally. There's another guy working on it. So
you're producing?
I'm not sure what that title actually even means at this point. I'm directing the guy to make a certain engine, and we'll see how it turns out. It's really promising. I might actually paste a test build in here if you guys are interested.
To us or to TIGRadio?
I don't know. To TIGRadio?
Yeah, you can just go to TIGRadio.com.
Okay.
There's like hundreds of thousands of people in there right now, bro.
Oh goddamn! Pressure's on. 100. By that you mean like 3, or how many are actually listening?
there's hundreds of thousands of abs.
So what are your plans with
Okay, so the plans right now
Cortex
is that
Command?
personally, I'm still programming and working on Cortex Command to make it kind of wrap it up and finish it finally, and that's what I'm doing day to day. And then there's so I'm working with Prom, the artist on Cortex Command, to just finish that up, and the other guys who are making content. So most of those guys came from the modding community. We went on and asked the guys, the modders who were the best at what they were doing, if they wanted to work on official content, and most of them said yes. So they're actually working on on the first party direct content, or whatever you want to call it. So they're helping us out with the levels and scenes and so on. But I'm finishing the game, and then the next game is kind of spinning up already the engine, so we don't have to start from zero when we actually do ship the final version of CC. That's the plan.
When are you planning to ship the final version of CC? Is that like a 2010 thing?
I love this question.
2011? Oh, I figure your community is gonna dig up the fact that you were on TIGRadio and then listen to it and then demand
Well,
answers.
okay, so the answer is when it's done. when it's done, when I'm comfortable calling it the final version. Really, what the pressure is, I want to get it out on Steam or other channels. Just and I can't do that with a straight face when it's not really done at all. I mean, right now it's still a test build. Like you can have fun and you can play it there, but it's more of a sandbox still. So right now there's like a meta game that I'm working on that kind of ties it all together and gives the little battles meaning. So
I mean, I really want to play that. I really want to like play my little Cortex Command game every
It's
night.
actually coming together. Yeah, it's I right now I'm working on an animation for the GUI's elements that just try to convey a lot of information to the player of what's going on on the planet, so to speak. So there's all these sites that you can go visit and battle over, and then there's different teams that own these sites. So I'm figuring out the best way to visualize that. So when that's done and all that is tied together and polished up, you can actually play one of these meta games.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on year 7 or year 6 of the project?
It's more than that. It's like eight-ish, but it's not
God.
8 solid years. I started the project like 8, almost 9-ish years ago now.
Do you actually have code in the project that still was originally written 8 years ago?
Yes, there's shit. I haven't actually rewritten a whole lot of code. It's kind of ridiculous. There's stuff back there. I dated it all, so I have source files here that go back to that. And I'm so anal and OCD, so I luckily commented everything to death.
I've seen your code comments.
Yeah, it's almost more comments than it is more comments than code. And so
I love how it's meticulously hand formatted too. That's the best part.
Right. That's just me.
That's just you, not making.
Well, it's coming through. Right. So, but that's actually a good thing because I'm looking at code that's 5 years old. There's no chance I know what I was doing back then. So I get the English version of what I was intending to do, and then I get the fucked up C++ that doesn't actually do that, and I can see the discrepancy. Like if there was just the code, I had no idea like what I was actually intending to do that. So it's a lucky thing.
How much do you comment, Tommy?
Like my entire engine's commented through Doxygen.
Okay.
Yeah, just parts of the game aren't, but all of the engine is. Like every part of the engine is commented.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, our comment style, which is kind of directed by me, is incredibly verbose. We probably have a comment every 3 lines of code. Like every little sort of paragraph of code has a tiny comment.
Nice.
And a lot of it is just like you could kind of see what you were doing. Like, oh, let's set a random pitch for variation's sake, and then it's just like 3 lines of code to set like a random pitch. Commenting is for wusses. That person who is anonymous has probably never shipped a game.
I sometimes comment on Tommy's comments.
Yeah.
And then I comment on the comments in forums.
Nice.
Oh shit, who's this? Oh, this is Ed. Hey Ed, how's it going? I didn't know you were in here.
Yeah, he and Tommy are in the same room now.
Oh, awesome.
So
We're
they're
naked.
Mutual JO.
Phil's over here at my place, but he's on the couch. I don't even know if he's listening.
Hey Phil!
Him in the distance.
Awesome. Do you have him like muffled under a pillow or something?
No, that actually wasn't him in the distance. That was someone else.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he's actually listening.
Are you guys talking about me again? Stop talking about me. I'm over here on the couch. I'm over here making fans, guys. See you later. I'm gonna take a nap over here, okay? I'll just be on the couch. I'm gonna go jam.
That's not what he sounds like at
Eats
all.
so much helium right now.
yeah, he's a little bit more French than that.
Hey guys, I'm still over here making fans. Hey. I'm from Canada. Hey.
Burn. He's probably on fire right now.
Wow. Yeah.
Burn.
I'm really pissed off. You guys making fun of me. This is really Phil now.
Yeah, you're gonna burn my place. I don't have any kind of renter's insurance. This is trouble for me.
Burn notice.
I lost the thread of the conversation. Hey Dan, have you looked at the IGF nominees for technical? Considering
I have not.
that you were last year's technical winner, and your abs were last year's technical winner.
Oh. I have not looked at the nominees. I've been really bad with keeping up with everything, so I'm I'm hoping to do that soon though. Like, can I just like download them or check them out or somehow? Or
That's a good question.
obviously-
Let's see. I know Limbo and Closure are not publicly available,
Okay.
and I mean, yeah, some of the finalists are not available publicly, and some are. Let's see, Closure, Limbo, Heroes of New Earth, Joe Danger, and Vessel. Yep, not a single one of those is publicly playable.
Okay, so yeah, I'll look at the pretty screenshots.
Well,
and
actually,
then
Heroes of New Earth is publicly. It's in public beta, but it's like a closed beta. You have to either find a key, and yet I actually wasn't. Simon allowed it to go into the audience award, which I actually think that's kind of weird. That it'd be like putting StarCraft 2, which is incredibly rare at the moment, into any kind of like public audience thing.
Oh yeah, okay, Closure. Okay, I've actually seen a video of this. This is the one with the light.
Yeah,
all that
and
stuff.
Tyler's
That
actually
looks cool.
Tyler's actually in the chat too.
Oh hi Tyler. I don't know you personally, I don't think, but I will give you props because this actually was very, very neat. I was impressed by it. I have no idea how they figured out how to do the physics for that. The like they must be doing some kind of Boolean. I don't know. Like the light source is something you can jump on, or everything within the light source you can jump on, right? Or you can interact with.
Tyler says box 2D plus bitmaps. He's in the. If you go to tigradio.com, it'll pop up in the chat. And he also said that you guys met at GDC.
Yeah, that's not
I'm
true.
sorry, Tyler. I'm so sorry.
We do it.
I will recognize Tyler when I see him in person, but like just the name doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, Tyler has a very unique curly-haired look.
No, yeah, Tyler actually, the whole physics engine runs off of his eyebrows.
Damn. That's impressive.
They're powerful.
Wow. So basically that should win technical excellence then, right there. That's my vote. Just, you know,
Sure.
not a lot of people can do that.
So yeah, you can make your own little award. If it does or doesn't win, you can just go up on stage with your abs and your.
Yeah, that's gonna be it right there.
Cool.
Here's a New Earth. Oh, that's the WoW. I'm not gonna say clone, but it's like the WoW inspired.
No, it isn't really WoW. It's more like Diablo-esque.
Oh, Diablo. Okay, cool.
Yeah, actually,
It looks very polished.
they were IGF finalists ages and ages ago. I should look up the year that they were a finalist previously.
Oh yeah. I think I know who
It's
you're talking about. That same team.
Yeah, it's S2. They did Savage.
Oh yeah.
Ages
some
ago.
Mad production power.
Yeah, they're a little bit larger, but I think Heroes of New Earth only had credited in the IGF database. I think it was like 14 people. So I mean, it's bigger, but it's not like.
It's not necessarily the site. I mean,
50.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, I'm impressed with their.
You know,
it's really beautiful shit.
I'm just trying to head you off. Or not head you, but head the internet off at the past people that are
Okay, good.
like Heroes of New Earth.
Oh, and Joe Danger looks awesome as well. Really cute. And I saw that. Did you guys see that in progress, like whatever prototype video that they had somewhere? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, they had showed a video when they had made like a 3-week prototype that was just a wheel.
Yeah.
So it's just like a wheel bouncing over stuff, but it looked fun to play. Like they were working on the feel of, can we just have a wheel bouncing over stuff look enjoyable?
Yeah, and play. It seemed like it was not only looked enjoyable, it was, and they had a lot of unrealistic physics in there.
Yeah.
Obviously unrealistic. You know, like it just would surge and jump upward extra, like after the jump and so on.
Yeah. They had a lot of stuff. It looked like you could kind of spin the wheel up in the air, and then when it landed,
stuff like that. I mean, shit, that's adding on top of the physics engine. So I mean, that takes a lot of tuning and to augment the fun.
It's a fun game. It plays really well.
So I mean, I'm not gonna say who's the winner here. I haven't played any of these, but I mean, of the ones I've seen, I don't know, Limbo. I haven't seen that yet. Is that the one with the okay.
It's like a black and white.
I've seen a video of that too. That's if they actually pull off in real time and interactive real time, like what they were doing in the video. I saw that.
Their animation stuff is impressive. Like the way that they animate that character is crazy.
I'd say it's between Limbo and Closure for me.
Sweet.
So does that answer your question?
Vessel.
I think Super Meat Boy is going to take that call.
You've forgotten about Vessel, the most complex game in the IGF at this point. It may run like garbage on some people's computers, but it's the most, like, that liquid animation system is fucking insane.
Okay, I'm not sure if I might have seen.
It's like fluid dynamics, and then
And then
characters
they
are kind of
form into
concocted.
people.
Yeah, like characters are kind of concocted from these fluid dynamics and kind of animate, but you could still kind of break up their character and their animation. And I
Yeah.
actually looked up Savage. So Savage was up for technical, and actually it took the grand prize in 2004.
Yeah, that was the big hoopla. That was the original. Hey, this has a budget of $1 bazillion. We hate them.
I remember that.
And fuck those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the audience award, and just because, let me look it up real quick. I mean, in my mind, the audience award is really just a competition of how large is your community, and I actually don't think that's bad. I think if we're going to reward, art capabilities, technical capabilities, then we should probably reward kind of business development / community development capabilities. But they have 335,000 fans on their Facebook page, so when it comes to getting people to vote, I'm pretty sure Heroes of New Earth is probably going to get, if you go to the Facebook page, it's just help us win the audience award right there, and that went out. 723 people liked this that had 676,000 or not thousand comments. I don't know. I feel like they have the largest community of all the games that are up for it.
Yeah, it's the fluid shit is it gives me a boner. It's good stuff. Like I saw a video of this. Like I'm actually connecting the names to the videos I have memories of. So I can't answer your question. Then it's between three of the. Vessel has to be the third one. I'd say is really, really impressive to me.
Sweet.
So, what's the next? Is there another question after this?
I don't know. Just talk about whatever it is that amuses you. Talk about flashlights. What's the latest thing?
No.
Dan, you fucking love flashlights.
I know. Okay, so there's LED technology that just has been coming out the last couple of years, and there's been a arms race for the best LEDs that they can put into flashlights, and they're really freaking impressive now. Like they have little microchips controlling the power that goes to the flashlight or to the actual LED, so it's a constant brightness until the battery completely conks out, so you don't have that whole, it goes dimmer and dimmer and dimmer like of old incandescent lights. Just go to 47 or Google 47s and check out. It's basically this one guy who looked at the market. So there's entire forums and communities for flashlight enthusiasts, and this is one guy who was a very active member on one of these candlepowerforums.com. This is so off of games right now, but he kind of canvassed the forums and what people wanted, and he started making his own flashlights and had them made in China, obviously, and just like the most superior, perfect lighting tools. It doesn't sound exciting. Like I wasn't excited about flashlights before they started becoming just amazing technology. It's almost magic how much light comes out of a small package like that, and how long it can keep going. And it can do different modes and so on. So you can have it go like there's of his models, there's a moonlight mode that will go for a week, literally. Like you turn it on and you can leave it for a week and you can read by that light, or you can flip the switch, or you do a sequence of pushes on the switch and it can go brighter than, a person. Like you can blind someone for 30 seconds easy, just by flashing them in the eyes so their night vision is gone. Is that enough insane rant for flashlights?
Why do you like flashlights? Like, why did you start caring about them?
Because they're super, like once you start carrying one all the time, it's so freaking convenient. Like there's so many situations. I almost use one every day, and I didn't used to, but since you can always carry it around, since it's so small, it comes in handy every single day, at least a couple of times. So it's just once I got hooked on it, I couldn't be without them, and I spent so much money on these things. Like a quality flashlight is like $60 or so, but it'll last forever. Like these things don't ever burn out. Incandescent lights burn out, but the LEDs will glow for like 50,000 hours before they burn out.
When you say how much money, or that you spent a lot of money on flashlights, how much money have you spent on flashlights? Give me a dollar number.
I don't know, a couple of thousand.
What?
Maybe, I don't know.
Edmund,
there's some high powered ones. I have
What?
Like
kind of broadcasting noise.
yeah, getting.
Is that better?
I was gonna say, one time the power went out, and I didn't have a flashlight, and I turned on my DS and I used that. It was an expensive flashlight, but I think it rivals the amount of money that you spent on flashlights. But I've bought quite a few DSs.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. I have an iPhone that I use as a flashlight.
light is useful
I had
for
a little
seeing.
watch. I had a little flashlight on my watch that you squeeze,
Yeah.
so you can see in the thing.
You know the Indigo watches. You remember those?
Indiglo?
Yeah, with like full screen lit up. Yeah, you could use those as flashlights.
That's true. I don't think they blind anybody though.
Well, no, not unless you got really close to their eye.
I just keep
Actually-
flares on me.
Yeah, those are useful. They'll burn your house down.
I was joking and you were totally serious.
Uh,
No, flares kick ass. I have the T1 8 model from last year. 2800 flare power.
Flares are
I
rad.
do have a few
I
flares
actually never
on
even
hand.
used them before. I want to.
One time, when I was in the Air Force, there was I was a fighter pilot, but I flew the stealth bomber, and we were live with the nuke one. And
I thought you were in the Marines, sir. I think it says on your bio here.
That's still-
Marines.
Yeah, they launched nukes, but
Oh,
my partner was there, and he tried to shoot me, so I had to eject out. And then he and his friends stole the nuke, and I had to try to get it back, and there was this forest ranger there. And then, you
Dude,
know...
this is Broken Arrow, the movie.
No, it's not.
Bro, this is Broken Arrow right now.
How this happened? So anyway, I was on this Hummer, and Howie Mandel... Or no, wait, Howie... Not Mandel.
Yeah, he was not. That is so
Sarah
incorrect.
Patch's husband was driving the Hummer, so I took a flare and a gas can, and I threw it, and it stopped him.
Uh-huh.
Here.
Yeah.
He holds.
Best story ever.
Yeah, I remember that. It's as if I watched it in the form of a film.
Hey, I want to get back to games. Actually, that was a.
What are you playing right now, Dan?
What's that?
What are you playing right now? What kind of games are you enjoying?
I'm not-
with BTM?
I'm not playing a whole lot actually. I'm playing Geometry Wars 2, which is not very exciting. Like as a new thing, I see Tommy's score on there, and I just go,
Tommy's been playing it all day.
Yeah.
"Are you
Are you
serious?
close to my
Yes.
scores?
I'm not close to your scores, sir. I'm sorry."
No one is. I love that game.
I've heard the stories of how you love it.
I'm pretty good at it. I don't like to
Don't
brag,
deserve
though.
Is there anyone who rivals you at all that we know of?
No, I'm like number one on all of my friends lists.
Damn it.
I
Is
think
there?
one guy beat me in pacifism. He had like 300 million, and 300 million, and I had like 255 million,
What
which
the
means he
fuck?
lasted a whole second and a half longer than I did.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
He lasted a second and a half longer than you did.
good.
But
Why don't you play more games, Dan?
it just waned. Like when I started making games, I didn't play as many games anymore.
For any reason?
Not sure actually. It's just thinking about making a game, kind of muscled away the wanting to play games so much in my brain. I don't know.
So have they become less interesting to you? Could you say?
Yeah, actually, like what I do is I just go to game trailers and then I look at 30 seconds of video footage of any game and I feel satisfied. It's like I can see what's going on and I see what they were doing, and it's just I don't feel a whole lot of interest in actually playing that game after I've seen a review or something of it.
Not even Bayonetta.
Especially Bayonetta, actually.
Oh my god.
I saw you guys play it in the office and I was like, just facepalm.
Shut up. Shut up.
It was.
Shut up. Get off of TIGRadio. You'll never
This
work
is
in this
not-
town
this is
again.
not gamers radio. It's I believe it's development radio. Am I right?
So tell us about this new thing you're doing. Whatever you can. Because I actually don't know much about it.
Right. So it seems like there's two approaches to making games. Like I think me and Alec Holoka are kind of diametrically opposite in our approach to making games. He approaches it from like the he wants to make a character and stories and so on. He thinks about that stuff first and then he kind of figures out the gameplay.
Mhm.
I always start thinking about the actual gameplay mechanics. Like I'm thinking about, in this case, like a vehicle riding around in a cave and so on. And it's inspired by one of the things that Prom put together for uh, it's I don't know how much I want to explain, but like he makes these, he kind of deconstructs old games and adds to them their game designs and like makes a whole page and his amazing art that he puts together.
Yeah, he kind of like storyboards his mechanics out.
Right. And so there was one he made for Metafight or Master Blaster, and he added a bunch of elements to it, like Diablo and tribes, and why can't we have this stuff in here too? And it's side-scrolling 2D game, but the centerpiece is a vehicle, that is exploring these caves, and I really want to make a very destructible, fun vehicle that you can control. It's actually, it's good that Ed's in here because like the concept is similar to Gishin Ways. It's very physical, a very physical game, but the perspective is the same, and you're kind of exploring this similar type of environments. But instead of a gooey ball, it's a very agile little buggy vehicle that is completely physically driven, so to speak. Like when you press right, it's not magically moving to the right. It's adding torque, to the wheels, and that is what causes the vehicle to go to right. And then you can actually actively control the suspension and so on. So what I'm getting at is that the game as of the project as it is now is just like the concept of a vehicle that runs around in a cave, and it can be very messed up by you dinging it into the wall or getting shot or something, and the wheels can like get deformed, and it affects the way it handles, or the vehicle can get completely crushed, for example, and it has a big cannon on it to shoot shit. So that's kind of my description of the new project. I can't really describe it as some kind of story arc or a context more than that.
Sure.
So we're working on an engine right now that can actually handle all these things, and we're not doing pixel graphics anymore, like Cortex Command was. It's kind of more like OpenGL, Aquaria / Gish, style of rendering, where it's hand painted art that's
Sure.
stamped all over the place, and can go in any resolution, zooming in and out.
Hand-painted prom art.
Yes. So
Excellent.
we're streamlining that content pipeline for him specifically, so he can just save an object as like he paints his shit in Photoshop and makes whatever is supposed to be air just transparent, just alpha, and then he saves it, and then the engine will load that bitmap or that image file and just make the object silhouette based on the alpha silhouette. So basically the object is already made by him just painting the alpha in there. So it's going to be very instant, because in Cortex, he had to actually make the stuff. He painted the stuff first, and then he scaled it down and cleaned up all the pixel stuff, and it was just all these extra steps that we're not going to have to do now. So
Nice.
he can hopefully just kind of unleash. He's super productive when he gets going. Like he can just churn out so much content, and if we can just capture enough of that, like I kind of picture it as I think of it as a fire hose kind of when he when he starts going, it's just like you try to get a bucket under there and capture a bunch of it as much as you can, and then it'll end up being awesome content in the game. But there was just that much more friction, to get that into, the less we can, the less resistance we can have in that pipeline, the better. So this new engine is kind of built around that, and also built around just making his art really shine, because you can just paint whatever, like the environment, the vehicles and everything, just save it directly into the content folder and have the game load that. So I don't know how Super Meat Boy guys, actually, I'm curious what you guys are doing for that. Like, how is your content pipeline for Ed? You guys use Flash somehow, right? Like, you have a Flash loader?
Yeah. Sorry, I was showing Ed the side of my mouse because it's all like burnt.
Naturally.
It looks
Is
like
that
he's
friction?
banned.
Friction
My
burns?
thumb is melting.
This is totally code.
Yeah.
Or mutual JO. What was your
Yeah,
question?
yeah. So we use Flash. I wrote an exporter, and Ed does everything in Flash, and then he can import it into my editor, and that's kind of it. It just sort of works.
Yeah, that's kind of the similar concept. It's like accommodate whatever the the artist or content creator is comfortable working in, right? And then having
Yeah.
as few steps as possible from that to get it straight into the engine, right? So it sounds like you're doing a similar thing. It's just Ed is more familiar with sitting with the Flash editor, and Prom is
Yeah.
all about Photoshop.
Well, there's like the in-game level editor, but he just builds levels in that. But yeah, as far as all the art and the effects and the cutscenes and everything that's related to what's being shown on the screen is all done in Flash, because otherwise it would have taken a lot longer for me to make something comparable to Flash. And that just seemed
absolutely. You guys have an extra bonus because you can do animations and stuff in Flash too. So
Yeah.
that's hot.
Yeah, like all the cutscenes and everything.
Fantastic. And how hard was that to make? Like the Flash importer, was it hard to deconstruct the file
Well,
format?
no, I don't actually like take SWFs or anything and decompile them or anything. Flash has tools inside of it that allow you to run JavaScript. So I just wrote a bunch of stuff in JavaScript to parse the timeline, get all the graphics, and then I wrote another script that takes all the graphics and packs them into one texture, and just packs them nice and tight. And yeah, so
that's fantastic.
That's basically it.
Dan, how much technology's migrated over from Cortex Command?
I'd say 0 pretty much at this point. Like we're starting completely from scratch with the engine and everything. So it's more than just it's just our experience really that we're taking along with us. There's really no tech at all that we're bringing along. So
at this point, who's we?
We is me, Prom, and the guy that is working on the code. He's actually the programmer who did the engine for Gum Boy Crazy Adventures. That was in the IGF a couple of years ago. Do you recall that?
I remember a Gumboy tournament.
Tournament. Crazy Adventures was the one before then. Tournament was the multiplayer version of it.
Okay.
And he
both were in the IGF. Adventures was first for art, and then Tournament was in for technical.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
interesting.
And Adventures is a beautiful looking game.
The beatable game.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, they were robbed.
So is he now?
I
is
really
he
like
taking the lead programmer role?
He was like the only programmer, and then he when he was done with that project, he contacted us, and I was really impressed with what he had done in freaking Delphi and Pascal. That whole engine was some crazy outdated language. So I asked him, like, how quickly could you pick up C++ and work on a new engine for us? And he was like, I'll try. And a month later, he had like a build going, and he's doing a fantastic job. It's really like he's been working on it for 5 or 6 months now. So
on this project, is he going to be taking the role of lead programmer?
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. So
he's going to be the main
what-
programmer, and I'm going to be directing him and like working on the design. I'll be programming too when I'm done with CC. But
okay, so you still will be rocking it, code. You'll be collaborating with him on code as well.
Yeah. It's always a collaboration, and that's the thing. Like when the teams are small, you can't just be one thing only, and it's just you gotta fill whatever hats are needed to be filled. So
Cool.
it's but I see him doing most of the programming, which he already has started on that. So, and he's doing a really amazing job. I mean, he's a much better programmer than I am.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's kind of like, it's interesting. I mean, I see myself doing a lot of the tuning, a lot of the design of the game, but he loves just getting direction from us. It's like, we need this and that, and he just goes at it and goes nuts with it. It's really, really impressive.
So it sounds like he's like an insane workhorse.
Yeah, he is, but it's kind of like he gets the work done really fast when he knows what we want him to do. We need to like always feed him new stuff to do, but he won't like take creative charge himself.
Yeah.
Yet. So it's just it's working out well so far.
That's cool.
I'm pretty excited to work on that project because the engine he's making is really neat, and it's doing stuff that I haven't seen a lot of other any other physics engine do. Like we looked at Box 2D and he even integrated it for a while just to test it out, and it just won't do what we want to do, meaning destructible stuff like where we want the Jeep to be able to be completely smashed to a pole, and deformable stuff is not really what Box 2D does. It's just not built for that as much.
Yeah.
So
is Prom happy with the tech so far?
yeah, I'm sending him builds on a regular basis, and he's getting excited. I can tell that he's excited about getting he's like, what game can we actually make out of this? It's like there's so many possibilities. The challenge is really to nail it down and kind of pare it down to something that we can finish.
Yeah.
So that's one big thing that breakthrough we had when Prom was here and visiting us in August last year. We actually figured out, we got a picture of what we could do and what we were gonna do. Like we had a big story arc and everything, all these ambitions for Cortex Command, like where it would be interwoven with the campaign somehow, and like it could be replayable, but there was like a thread of a story in there, and it was way, way, way too ambitious. So we pretty much kicked out the story completely for this metagame that I'm working on. And we're still going to have scenario missions that kind of tie into each other, but they're completely modular, and we can add them as we go. But we decided that just having a solid metagame in there that is infinitely replayable and making that really, really good and fun is what we're going to focus on. And that's going to be the game. And then whatever scenarios and story, missions after that is going to be extra, or the community can, put together stuff too, and we make it official content. But it was the main breakthrough was actually figuring out how little, like just narrowing the scope of everything. It's kind of funny how it works out, like the most progress was made by just narrowing the scope.
Right.
So
yeah.
I actually looked at Edmund stuff recently, and I'm kind of continually impressed with how much experimentation Ed has been doing, with physics stuff before. And like, there's recently I saw some trail with a bunch of different clips that I had never seen before. It was one where he was like there was like a wrecking ball, and there was some kind of rectangle. Is this ringing a bell, Ed? Are you still listening?
Talking about no quarter.
Probably, yeah. It's like you could wreck this. I believe so. The name rings a bell, but there's so many projects you've done that I can't keep.
Well, that was actually more Alex. That was the no quarter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's like how do you typically work when you start on a new project? Like, I'm curious what I know how Alec works, and I know how I work, but like, how does a new project materialize in your head? Is it like a visual concept that you come up with?
Yeah, well, no, I kind of float between like all the different things that you've said. Like it could be a focus on a character, it could be a mechanic, it could be even a feeling or something I just want to get across, and then I just go from there. I don't think I have one set way that I kind of.
So yeah, the obvious one was like cunt. It's kind of obvious how that came about. Was that like
that was like a 9-day project that I did with Florian, where it was like, what can I do that I couldn't do if I had a job? Like, what could I do? I want to do something that I couldn't make any money off of, and I couldn't get published or anything like that.
Fantastic.
And just to show how much freedom I actually had, and to kind of prove it, and almost to commit career suicide, I guess. And that was just the exercise in that, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I wish I was like as agile as you are. Like it seems like I can only focus on one project at a time to actually put active work into, and it takes me years and years. Like, I wish I could just make something in a couple of days, and like all these other people, Cactus and so on.
it's not always a positive thing. Like for me, it was very hard for me to go from making a lot of games to then just working on Meat Boy.
Yeah.
And it was just like working with Tommy. It was I had so many impulses to start on something new while we're working, and it just to try to stop myself from doing that was very hard. And now I've gotten used to this kind of situation, and it's just so alien compared to how I've been working in the past. But yeah, no, it's almost haunting. Like you get these haunting design ideas that you think are so great, and you want to do them, and you can't get them out of your head.
Yeah.
That's basically for me.
Yeah, no, it's similar. Like Prom does the same thing. He keeps, he jumps from project to project to project, and he really hasn't really finished anything. And he complains about the same thing. Like he gets haunted by a new idea or a new thing that he just wants to try out. And he actually programs and stuff too. He sits with Blitzmax, which is this basic based game platform development kit thingy, and he actually puts out, he puts together little games that he never really puts out there.
Yeah, well, I would recommend that he just put them out there.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him to
learn more. One of the best thing about releasing a lot of small games quickly is the feedback you get from people, and how of course you have to be open to accepting the fact that your games are flawed and you have a lot of learning to do, yada yada yada. But you can learn a great deal from just reading comments and reading how people understand games, because it's impossible for one designer to understand how everybody's going to play the game.
Yeah.
And by releasing a bunch of small games and seeing the reactions, you can kind of whittle down your understanding of how most people will play your game and understand it. And it's very valuable. I think it's really good to release a lot of small prototypes and put your ideas out there. And if they're good and if they stick, then you can flesh them out and make a bigger game with them.
See, that's what worries me, is because I've only really worked on one freaking game so far that I've put out at all, and I'm wondering how much off the mark I am by just working on this one thing, and then I kind of make it, and then I put it out there, and then I frankly don't look at people's feedback as much as maybe I should. I did get a wake up call at GDC last year when I was demoing the game for a bunch of a lot of people at the IGF Pavilion for several days, and that was the first time I really had a whole lot of people come through. I mean, I've had people come over to the house, and I have a very hard time doing the whole Kleenex testing thing. I don't shut up when they're playing the game because they're stuck on something, and then I tell them what to do.
Yeah, that's really hard. It's hard to shake that when
it's terribly hard, and I just so I need to get better at that in general. But I'm wondering, I'm making this humongous project, and then I'm not really doing a whole lot of prototyping or anything. I'm just sitting here trying to figure out the best way to do it myself, and I don't know. I need to kind of learn how to do that better, especially for the next project. I really want to make it a very intuitive and approachable game. So
yeah, I believe it is a process of breaking. You need your audience to break you to the point of realizing that you're not actually right, and that you need to that was a hard thing for me in the beginning, where it's just okay, I need to realize that even though I can swear up and down that this is the way things are, and why don't you people get it, it's obviously their fault if they're not getting it.
Oh,
but
totally.
No, if it's me versus 5 people who are all saying the same thing, then I'm wrong, and I need to realize that and understand why I'm wrong and how I can improve this and what I can do to fix it.
Dan, fix your walking in Cortex Command. It's fucking terrible.
Is that still
Yes.
I'm worried that you're okay.
No, I'm not joking.
Because it's been.
Well, I haven't played any build that you've had developed since the last public build.
Okay.
I remember when I played that game when it was called Dirt, and in the IGF. I liked it back then. I remember it really stood out. I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting. Well, of course, it was like a Scorched Earth style, and I like that.
That was in the early days. That's 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
That's.
I'm old.
Well, I'm old too. It feels like. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's the walking and so on. It's something I have to look at too. I have been trying to improve it more. It's just like this.
No, I just kind of pointed that out as an example of everybody was telling you this thing, and you'd kind of like give an explanation instead of just realize that, oh, wait a minute, like everybody has told me it's a problem.
Yeah, someone in the chat just says that walking is a chore in CC, and I thought it was intentional.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. It's
well, yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
just-
the
yeah.
thing is there is kind of like a design decision that we did do make early on. Like, I mean, Soldat has been around, for a lot longer than CC. Even. It is a fast-paced Twitch, like kind of action shooter, which is awesome. I mean, it's kind of like Quake, but in 2D. And CC was never intended to be like that. It was intended to be a very tactical, and like you're actually thinking about the tactics you're using, and you're placing your dudes in certain positions, and so you're not really supposed to be running around nilly-willy like in Soldat. So the reason I probably put like a bit of a deaf ear toward that complaint specifically is because of that, because a lot of people were conditioned to play Soldat, and they're
Well, yeah,
frustrated to run around.
I don't think it's an issue of speed, though. To me, it's fine that you can't move as quickly as you can in Soldat. It's not really dexterity. It's more just the times when you get stuck on a pixel and you're kind of like, your little hand comes up and like
It tries to do, yeah.
glances off the wall like 4 times in a row. It's just the point when I'm like, fucking move a pixel or two, little guy.
Yeah.
And as opposed to, oh, I get that I'm slow and I have to kind of move from cover to cover or not just run in the open. It's more like an issue of frustration than it is an issue of speed.
Yeah. It's a hard problem, admittedly, too.
No, and I do understand your desire to make it physically cohesive and like there's not, you're not just a sphere that's kind of bouncing around the environment. You're actually like this hinged, articulated actor joint, and I totally get that. Like a
lot of that is going to be, that's kind of like a reason why we're not going with pixel graphics and destructible terrain as in the next project. It's going to be like the little guys are going to be little spheres. They are going to they're going to move around smoothly and so on. So it's kind of like I'm hesitant to go in there and try to redo a huge aspect and like get it, instead of just finishing the damn game and moving on to the next one, because it is becoming like ridiculous how long it's been taking me.
Yeah, and I mean, you might work on it for a week and then just like discard your work. Like, I'm going to try to fix walking, and then a week later you're like, nope, didn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
And I end up doing that all the time when I tune stuff on even like Raptor Safari. It's like I'll do tuning for a day, and at the end of the day I'm playing the game, and I'll even like play an old version or play it on some other computer, and I'm like, wow, I've made things worse. And then I just like right click discard changes. I'm like, well,
that is hard for me, man.
Oh,
that is hard.
Like I actually find that development slows down like the more you get into a project, because you get very reluctant to explore this sort of possibility space of like, I'm going to try this branch of idea. And as
screw that, I can't do that shit.
Approach. Oh, like that's what you have to do. Like that's why things slow down, is because it's like, oh, I don't want to break anything. It's like, well, you're gonna have to break it. Like, you have to totally break it to fix it.
It's just like the amount of time I spent debugging the freaking walking thing is just, it's so painful. It's just, there's so much time sunk into that. I don't want to go in there and like completely overhaul it.
Tyler just mentioned
all the quick fixes I've done already. So
I should have pointed out. Sorry to interrupt. That Tyler doesn't use any kind of subversion or source control system.
Tyler's
Tyler's a moron. Sorry, Tyler. That's insane.
It's time to do that. It's time to do that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean,
It's because they just stores all into the eyebrows.
Yeah.
All he has to do is
Tommy's
revert
kinda
his eyebrow.
in the chat. You're too poor. You can just run it locally. Like
this is not a money issue. Yeah.
Yeah, or just pay the
Shave that shit and make
$4 a month.
cancer to kids.
Hey, Tyler, I will host
I'm not gonna
for you on our server.
because I had that. I mean, I didn't use Subversion for the first 4 years of the project either.
Yeah, but it was just you at that point.
Yeah, but
Tyler,
still,
I will host you Subversion if you need, Tyler. We have like our own private server. We have a clock machine.
cost
But I actually use source control a lot for like tuning sets. Like I'll go crazy tuning something because I know that if I don't like it, I can just discard my changes.
Yep.
Because it happens a lot where like it'll feel really good for a while, and then I'll like change center of mass or gravity or size.
It's so subjective though. Like
it's very
I
subjective.
will be working on something and then I'm like, oh, this sucks, and I'm like, it's 4 a.m. and I go to sleep, and then I wake up the next morning and I'm like, this is actually not too bad. It's just rested mind. I'll perceive it completely differently.
Yeah, I'll actually like go home after like a day of tuning, and then I'll you do some YouTube and do some internet browsing, and then like at 11 o'clock at night I'll download the game and play it. And sometimes I'll play it and I'm like, God damn it, this is not better. I'm actually not even certain yet that the new tuning that we have for Safari is any better than the old tuning. Like, I feel like there's a lot more possibility there for it to be a lot better, and I'm going to keep kind of massaging it every now and then. But yeah, it's tuning numbers is kind of a whole different beast altogether.
Yeah. How about you, Ed and Tommy? Like, how do you guys tune this shit? Because I played, Super Meat Boy when
Actually,
Tommy was here.
Who does tune? Is it Tommy or is it Edmund? Like who?
Well, that's Tyler's eyebrows.
Tyler's eyebrows is the crux of Super Meat.
Tyler's eyebrows are a secret character in Super Meat Boy.
Yeah. No, like I
Love
made
you, Tyler.
I made stuff for Edmund to tune like specific values like gravity and stuff like that, and then I have stuff in code that I have to do. And shit, we haven't messed with the movement since like July.
Yeah, we're gonna just retouch on movement just for the corners, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movement was fucking really good way back when. I mean, we did that right away, and
That was like first priority.
that was number one. It was like, okay, what's the number one thing we need? Okay, it needs to fucking play as well as Mario.
Yeah, I was very impressed when Tommy was here showing it off. I mean, it's just the one thing that stood out to me is the feel of the game is very.
It has to make sure that the people, if you fucking die, you need to feel like you made that mistake and not the controls. That's so fucking important for one of these kind of games. So yeah, that's number one.
It's that's kind of what I'm hoping to do with the next project, which is as soon as we have the physics engine going, which is we have a good start on that, we're gonna get that vehicle in there and just make that fun, like completely focus on that and just make it really, really fun. So the vehicle is gonna kind of handle a little bit like Trials, like those motorcycle games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's very physically run, and then you can shoot and you can maybe use a grappling hook and stuff like that too. But you can actively jump up and down with the analog stick. The suspension will react to you jumping up and down, and you can flip the thing over using the gun turret and all these things. So like just making that.
When the player falls off, can you flail his arms around on the ground, like in Trials?
I don't think the players are going to be visible like that, but the same principle is going to happen where there's a gun turret on top, and that turret, there's going to be like a absolute direction is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
For where you want to aim it, so you can.
Did you ever play Alex's A New Zero game?
I don't think so. Wait, A New Zero?
Yeah.
It sounds super familiar. Wait, so what is it? Describe to me.
It's like an online
ramjacks.
Yeah, it's like an online multiplayer.
Yeah. But that was years ago. That's old, right?
Well, it's called A New Zero now, and it's way better and way different. It's like squad-based combat. There's like multiple types of planes and multiple types of water units, and they have turrets and sticky bombs, and you ram each other. It's all physics-based and all that stuff.
Okay, how do I find it? Just Google.
Go to Cryptic C. It's there. C.com.
Sweet. And why do you mention that? Is it related?
Oh, you're just talking about like physics-based sort of combat dealy things that are realistic, and that was the only thing that popped up that indie-wise that is semi.
Yeah, and it's not even the combat. I just want to focus on getting that. So the way you guys described that was the first priority for you guys to make
sure it feels fun and feels good.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally going to be the thing. So hopefully Matthew won't get on my case for the next project, at least that the vehicle isn't good because that's going to be the first.
I don't think you ever said you were focusing on walking. Did you? Did you make walking a priority? I don't think you did.
Yeah, it has been. I
really?
think that's what's so crushing is that I keep
sorry.
You guys keep ragging on it. So I've done all the easy fixes, I think, but it's a surprisingly tough problem there where the because the terrain is completely destructible.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a robotics problem at that point. Like people have a
Little-
hard time making
so
robots
not
walk
quite,
around.
but it's a little bit. Yeah, like the way Liero worked, which was one of the main inspirations for Cortex Command, was the worms were small enough on the screen, like they were just super tiny sprites. They could get away with having just a little sphere, like a little fudge. But the characters we have were just larger, and so you can't have the leg kind of. I didn't want to have a canned animation for walking to the
Yeah.
right and then have the guy magically kind of float above the train. So
We need to have a crazy drunken Liero party sometime. Like, because I don't think a lot of people here have actually played Liero.
there's some really nice multiplayer like
Yeah, there's
ports
like,
or clones of it now.
yeah, there's like all the new ones.
Yeah.
Well,
There was that one Norwegian guy that I met. He's an academic dude. He was working on a project where you could have like 40 or 50 people play on the same screen with their Bluetooth phones.
oh wow.
Yeah, so imagine like a theater where you're playing. The
Yeah,
entire
like-
playfield is on the screen, and then like there's 40 people in the audience sitting there with their phones and directional, keypad.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done that yet in like a theater. Like there were a couple theaters in the Bay Area that had some kind of camera system where they had a camera focused on the audience, and the audience could kind of like raise their hands to control like a pong paddle, like left or right. But I mean, today it's just pull out your iPhone, download an app, connect to like the
Totally.
theater game thing, and then just like there's 30 people playing like little games up on the theater screen instead of watching goddamn ads. But anyway, our hour for TIGRadio is up, so I'm going to cut us off. Special thanks to our guest Dan Tabar with special guest Edmund McMillen. TIGRadio is put on by Matthew Wegner, Ben Reese, and Tommy Reffinez. TIGRadio theme song by Danny Baranowski. TIGRadio website by Kyle Pulver. TIGRadio is proudly sponsored by absolutely no one. See you next week, and we will be live from GDC.
Thank you. Bye.